Welcome to the X Block.
Am I right, Marine? Sir, yes, sir! Then listen up.
You're listening to the X Block. I'm Jared, he's Caleb. Let's get into it.
You are listening to an X Block podcast special. I'm Jaren, and I'm here with Caleb.
Heyo.
And today, we are talking about the 2021 Game Awards here on Xbox's #1 podcast.
Probably. And Jaren, they happened, as they do every year, with my man Jeff. And, you know, everybody, they made sure it was safe, Jaren, because half the people there were wearing a mask and half of them weren't. So you know that it all worked out.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, it looked like I think, you know, we'll get into this later, but one special individual ripped off his mask as he went up stage. You remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember it. You know what, Caleb? We're just going in entirely here. There's no structure to this show. I want to talk about that right away.
Wow, dude, fucking kicking it off strong with this podcast special we're doing. All right, Jared, fine. Hit me with it. What happened at this year's 2021 Game Award? Oh, yeah. Just real quick, by the way, people, this isn't a regular episode this week because we wanted to do one all about the Game Awards. And so your regular programming will continue next week. So we're talking about the Game Awards. It's going to be a fun time. All right, Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, so the thing Caleb is referring to is when Joseph Ferris won Game of the Year for It Takes Two. He went up there, ripped off his mask halfway up to the stage, and then just kind of like shouted, and then went up on stage and picked up his Game Award.
It was awesome. It was the best, man. Joseph Ferris, my boy, who is the game director, and I think one of the writers. He's definitely at least one of the writers at Haze Light, the studio that he founded. I think someone else also helped write It Takes Two, though. Maybe I'm incorrect about that. Because, you know, Jared, it would take two. Huh, am I right?
And I feel like he's voice acting too in that, so he's got many hats. Yeah,
he's a very creative man, very creative talent over there, and we are so happy he won. Jared and I played It Takes Two back in, when did it come out? Like May? Was that it? March?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I can't even remember. It's been a long year, but it came out around then. We played it. I thought it was one of the best games I ever played. I talked about it on our top 5 games of all time episode, believe it or not, and go listen to that if you want to hear my deeper thoughts on that game. But Jared, it beat out Deathloop, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and Resident Evil Village.
Yo, you know what? It takes a village to make a game, but not to win Game of the Year.
Yeah, I wasn't our theory that Resident Evil Village and like not Ratchet & Clank, but like Resident Evil Village and something, a Deathloop, that's what it was, had to like split the vote, right? That's what happened?
Which makes no sense because Psychonauts 2, from what I hear, and It Takes Two for sure, are definitely better than both of those games.
I'm going to tell you one of the ways Psychonauts 2 got snubbed later, but, we'll get there. I'm just happy that, finally, this year, Jaren, the game that I thought was the game of the year actually won, like, my favorite, probably, game of the year, and I hadn't, like, completed Halo by the time this came out. The Game Awards was December 9th, so I hadn't played through, like, Halo all the way. Like, Halo Infinite, so far, like, is my favorite game that I played this year. Like, it's the one I had the most fun with, but, it's not, like, if I had to try to, like, objectively review them, It Takes Two is a better game, overall. It's more polished. It's just better, right?
Yeah, the only game that's even close in my book would be Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think most of the industry would, so that's we're just excited. I mean, we kicked it off strong, Game of the Year. It Takes Two, you gotta play it. You have to have a friend, though, or someone that you can trick into playing it with you. But it's a great game, honestly.
Dude, I want someone to trick someone in. That would be such a great YouTube series. I sit my friend down to play this game with me. He doesn't know why he's here.
That's actually a good premise. Can we trademark that ahead of time? Can we have that? We should do that.
I don't think it works if we both have already played the game.
Yeah, but we both have girlfriends, Jaren.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, we're not fucking losers like all those people listening out there, am I right? Fucking idiots. You know what I mean?
Depends on how this podcast goes on whether we continue to have girlfriends.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a good point. It's a good point, Jaren. I want to say, yeah, he ripped off his mask, ran up on stage, and went, here we are, I was just over there, and I was like, fuck the Oscars, and then now I'm over here, it's crazy, man, it's a good sound, and then he's like, I'm gonna give this award to my daughter, and literally, this is how he sounds, I'm not even making this up, this is how he talks, I'm gonna give the award to my daughter, he's like, and man, you don't have kids out there, you gotta get you some, man, they're great, go get you some kids, alright, that's it, I gotta go, alright, goodbye, and then he just ran off stage, and you're like, bye, Joseph. And he was like, he showed up there in a t-shirt and jeans, by the way. And he was just like leaning back in his seat the whole time, like losing a bunch of awards. And he was just like, dude, I don't care. Like, he looked like he was chilling. And then it's just one game of the year and just got up and threw his mask off. Fucking great.
Yeah, the only time he looked annoyed was when best game direction went to someone else, and then he pointed at the camera and made a fist.
He did point at the camera. I forgot about that. He straight up pointed at the camera.
Yeah, and kind of a note on this show here. If you want to know who won all of the awards, this is not the show for you. You can head over to IGN. We're going to talk about a few things that we want to talk about to do with the Game Awards. We're going to shoot the shit, and that's pretty much about it.
No, I agree with that. I mean, this is like the boys just talking about it after the fact. We're not going to go into best esports coach, you know? I'm not going there, Jared.
And on that topic, I would like to thank the Game Awards for my Game Award for best esports coach. It's an honor. I want to thank my family. I'd like to thank all the people that I coached to victory in League of Legends, a game I know nothing about, but it was my fresh eyes that really carried us to the championship.
Physically couldn't coach any game for any esport of any of them. I don't believe that for 1/2 of a minute, Jared.
I'd walk over to like the top player and he'd like miss a shot, and I'd be like, all right, you're gonna have to focus the fuck up, you dog shit human.
You're such a mean person. You'd be such a mean coach. Hey, dude, click your mouse faster or you're fired. Like, what? Click it faster, all right?
Sometimes I do have wild strategies, though, that work.
Yeah, you do. That's true. We've been playing Halo Infinite, and so the number of times you grab the flag a match is actually incredible. So, and ranked, by the way.
Yeah, dude. What about, dude, Halo Infinite, though? Like, sidebar right here. I know this is about the Game Awards, but, like, what do you think? It came out. It won an award itself for the Player's Choice. Does it deserve it?
Yeah, I was going to say, it speaks for itself, Jaren. It won the Player's Choice. The players chose at this year's Game Awards, and they didn't choose It Takes Two, Jaren. They chose, I almost said It Takes Jew.
I know, I heard it.
But they chose Halo Infinite because even though somehow 343 can release half a game, and it's more fun to play than like every other game that came out this year. And I don't know why that is, you know? Like the campaign, we were just talking before we recorded about how Legendary, because I already beat the game on Legendary, dude, humble brag. But it is the hardest Halo game by a mile if you play it on Legendary. And I would know, because I've played each of the games on Legendary and beaten them like 30 times each, not even lying. Jaren can vouch for that. And dude, Infinite is so fucking hard. But it was so much fun. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much of it because I know you haven't played, and so we can't go into spoilers on this or anything like that. But it's just not a lot. The way I've heard it described by many people, or at least Chris Raygun in particular, I think said it on a podcast, which was that not a lot of games have enough faith in their, or like first-person open world games even, or anything like that, have enough faith in their physics engine to do what Halo did. Like Halo, like a lot of the environments are the same. Like they don't have a big, like, you know, the jungle biome or a snowy biome or like a ton of space stations and other things. They just have like kind of the specific Northwest environment. But it's so much fun to explore, dude, and play. And I can see why a lot of people that are like, yo, despite some of the flaws it has and like objective issues, not even with the multiplayer, but even some with the campaign that like it doesn't even have co-op at launch. You know, it's a bit samey for some instances, but the gameplay kind of saves it. And everyone's just like, yo, this game is a good time, which is great. Like, it's just fun to play. And it's what I imagine people who like Breath of the Wild feel about Breath of the Wild, although I cannot imagine that Breath of the Wild is as much fun to play. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, the one thing is that when they voted for that Player's Choice Award, the campaign wasn't even out yet. So that was entirely based on the multiplayer.
Which is absurd. But yeah, I mean, I see it's gotten like an 87 on Metacritic, and I think that's fair. That's a fair score. You know, it's not like a 10 out of 10 right now. For me, I enjoy it as much as like a 9.5, right? Like that's how much I have fun with it. But I see how, like, if you're reviewing it from a non-biased, you know, not necessarily a huge Halo fan standpoint, that you'd be like, yeah, this game's like an 8.5, 8.7, you know? But it's just really fun. And it has a lot of stuff, like, in certain parts of it, make it better, like, it's better than that. But then certain parts of it make it a little worse than that, and it all kind of evens out. But it's just the gameplay loop is so much fun. Like, it's one of the best feeling Halos, I don't know, ever. And I don't really know how they nailed that, but they got the most important thing right with that game. And dude, in 2 or 3 years, once they've updated this game 20,000 times, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. It's just we have to get there. Yeah, that's the state of video games nowadays.
Yeah, dude. So there you go. We covered Player's Choice Award. We covered Game of the Year. The only thing I'll say about Halo is I've only played a bit of the campaign. I like the multiplayer, but I've only played a bit of the campaign. And so far in the campaign, I've had an enjoyable experience. I like the story parts of the game. The world feels a bit empty, but that kind of expected. They didn't. I imagine they came up with the idea of an open world, went, wow, this is hard, put in some stuff, and then we're like, all right, the game's got to get out.
It's really, I mean, I do want to talk about that for a sec, because it's really fun, though. Like, the grappling hook makes it so explorable. You know, you can literally climb up anything, especially when you upgrade it. All the open world stuff, it's like, the way I see Halo Infinite is, if you just want to mainline the campaign, you can, and it's going to be probably even a better experience. You can do that. But if you want to, like, go explore this stuff, you can, too. So it's more like what you put into it is what you get out of it. And so if you think it's going to be a bit more samey and a bit more completion-y and Far Cry-y to go do all that stuff, but, like, if you want more Spartan cores to upgrade your, you know, your equipment, if you want more, I don't know, you want to take some of the FOBs for fast travel points, if you want to go find some of the data pads to get some of the intermittent story that you care about, like what happened before. Like, all these things, like, they have their own rewards, and it's just how much you put into it. Because if you're like, I think the open world's boring, it's like, well, then don't do it. Go just literally run from campaign mission to campaign mission, you know?
Yeah, it definitely would have been better if they put more effort into what's in the open world. Because the gameplay's great, and, like, the fights that you get into are great. It's just that there's really no, like, in-depth, like, reason on why a big chunk of the stuff is going on, and it just feels like someone's first attempt at an open world game. It's just that the gameplay really punches above its weight class, which kind of makes up for its deficits.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but it's not The Witcher, you know, like, and it's not a Far Cry game either, because it is more gameplay, like, oriented, and it's just, the combat's more fun. So, I mean, there's things we could talk about here, but I guess we should probably talk about some other stuff to deal with the Game Awards. Do you have any other, like, categories you wanted to hit on for, like, I don't know, best game direction, best narrative, anything like that? Because one I wanted to talk about, Jaren, I guess I'll say real quick. Best art direction. Did you know Deathloop won that?
Yeah, I saw.
Dude, it went up against... Okay, Deathloop beat out Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and The Artful Escape for best art direction. The hell's that about, Jaren?
Yeah, one's literally called The Artful Escape, and won best indie game solely because of its visuals and not because it was the best game in the best indie game category. So how does a game win for its entire indie game category for basically just visuals and then lose to a game that isn't about visuals for art direction?
Yeah, Kenna Bridge of Spirits is what he's talking about, and Kenna was a game that is, they said it's an indie game, but I think it's heavily funded by PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. If not, they had a very deep kind of second-party relation with that. And Kenna, from everyone I've heard play it, which is like literally I've heard 3 people, not that I know personally, but online, who have played it and kind of given their thoughts. Everyone who plays that game is like, it's a PS2 game, but it looks like a modern, you know, PS5 game. But it plays stiff like a PS2 game. And so if you like PS2 platformers, or I guess it has some puzzles and other kind of things, then you're going to like Kenna. But, you know, it's not the greatest game ever, apparently.
See, I feel like that's not true, because some of my most favorite games of all time are Jak and Daxter. And Jak and Daxter feel immensely better than Kenna Bridge of Spirits. And when I played Kenna Bridge of Spirits, as a person who likes those kind of mascot platformer games, I was like, I don't like this game.
Yeah? I mean, well, dude, it's the best indie game of the year, so why don't you just shut up, Jaren?
Yeah, didn't make any sense to me. I think every game in the category reviewed higher than it, but it won.
Yeah, is there, by the way, did Psychonauts 2 win anything this year?
No, both Psychonauts 2 and Ratchet and Clank were entirely snubbed.
Man, dude, that's what are the people over at Double Fine got to do? I mean, maybe some of the other games are better in their respective categories, but we just got to give a shout. Like, Psychonauts 2 is a really unique kind of game in the current gaming landscape. It's different. Kind of like I think Sea of Thieves is, which also got snubbed, Jaren. And dude, that was a hell of a fucking segue. Didn't even mean to. But they have a category for best, is it ongoing game? And Sea of Thieves, my man, isn't even nominated. It's best ongoing game. They have Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. And Final Fantasy XIV won. And dude, where's Sea of Thieves, Jaren? Where's it at?
Dude, I don't know. I thought it should have been there. I definitely would have put it there above Warzone. They can't even like make shit work in Warzone. I don't understand.
No, the game's broken as shit. I wrote like 19 articles about it like this year. And then best community support as well. Best community support is Apex, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Final Fantasy 14 won again. How is Sea of Thieves not best community support? Like, get the hell out of here. But what were you saying, Jan?
Yeah, the one thing I want to point to is how do you have Warzone in the category when Fortnite, a very similar game, is in the category? Like, Fortnite has made so many more drastic changes to how Fortnite works. You watch like a Fortnite Season 3 trailer versus like the original Fortnite trailer, and you're like, this isn't even the same game. And then you watch Warzone and they're like, oh, we made a new map.
Yeah, that's how Bobby Kotick sounds right before he diddles somebody.
I don't think he diddle anyone. He just ignored diddling and then said he'd kill someone.
He did say he'd kill someone, so you tell me which is worse. I don't know. But shout out to Warzone for being in the fucking best ongoing game, you know? I didn't win, but shout out to it being in there.
And hopping off the segue that we're just going to go segue to segue to segue to segue. Since we were talking about Bobby Kotick, why don't we cover Jeff's opening night speech where he just came out and he was like, we're going to condemn all like abuse and harassment in the games industry and all this kind of thing. And he had this big so-called powerful speech, but he never managed to call out any of the people that are actually the ones that caused all of these issues to come to light. He just gave kind of an overall general speech, which in my eyes made the speech meaningless and pointless.
I 100% agree with you. And even on other podcasts like Sacred Symbols that I listened to before we recorded this, dude, I think even Colin pointed out that, like, you know, this man, he gives this whole kind of speech, like tries to take a stand and like have, you know, ground on something. And Jeff's like a nice, like cool guy. Like everyone likes Jeff and thinks he's like trying to do his best. And he's actually he comes from a place of good intentions and he's not like just an evil dude. But, you know, I think this award show was heavily funded by and like advertised by some company. I don't know if it was 100. It was like 100 levels. I don't remember what the name is. There's some company that, no, not 100 Thieves. I think it was another one. There was like some other. I don't remember the name, but it popped up a few times that they were advertised by, and it's wholly owned. You know, a wholly owned Chinese company, which makes it an arm of the communist Chinese government, who, you know, silences people and has Uyghur Muslim concentration camps where they, you know, sterilize human beings and sell their hair on the market and all this kind of shit. You know, so great on Jeff for taking a stand against Activision without naming them, while taking ad money and other things from companies owned by the communist Chinese government. You know, good. You really big power move. Like Riot too. Even if you just count Riot, by the way, Riot's wholly owned by, what is it, Tencent, or is it just a Chinese company in general? I forget.
It's wholly owned by Tencent.
Yeah. So there you go. Like,
well, and what about the whole, hey, we're going to give this empowered speech, and then the first game we're going to show off is the Star Wars Eclipse game from Quantic Dream, which has faced many allegations and lawsuits for mistreating their employees.
Yeah, they did. I remember it was like a year ago. I think it was a year or two ago. That's true. And I don't know how those went. I haven't kept track of that story. But it's just, the point is, I guess we should say, that Jeff tried to make a stand here, but it was lame. Because the main thing, even if you call him a hypocrite for various reasons that we say, and we're like, you're taking a stand, but you can't take a stand and be inconsistent, because then people just point out you're inconsistent, which makes you disingenuous. But you didn't even name Activision. Like, you didn't even say Activision. Like, name these people, these companies by name. Like, you know, that would have been more powerful. But instead, he just kind of had a general thing about, I guess, toxicity in the industry and hatred. I don't know if you mentioned harassment. I can't remember. Or, like, you could have even interpreted it as people being mean online in the comments if you wanted to interpret it that way, you know?
Yeah.
So, but, you know, Jeff, nice guy, good intentions, pretty lame move.
Yeah, poor execution.
Poor execution is a good way to put it. And yeah, I was going to say, dude, speaking of poor execution, Jaren, what's the next one that you have a segue for?
Oh, no, I wasn't going to talk about poor execution. I was just going to jump off the fact that we literally talked about Quantic Dream, and they did show off the Star Wars Eclipse game, which
easy. Nailed it.
Obviously their founder and the stuff that he was accused of, if that is true, we don't support his actions. But like was pointed out on Twitter by the Activision developers, the fact that Activision wasn't talked about in this entire show doesn't really hurt Bobby Kotick. It more hurts all of the developers who just want to get recognition for their work. So therefore, we would like to at least talk about the stuff that everybody at Quantic Dream spent their time putting out that cool trailer for us.
I saw that on Twitter. And plus, you know, like we're covering news and gaming, so we kind of have an obligation to, because it's news in gaming, regardless. But Yeah, dude, Star Wars Eclipse. This got talked about before the Game Awards. I don't think we knew it was Eclipse, but we knew that Quantic Dream was working on a Star Wars game.
Yeah, and we still really don't know that much about it because that was all clearly a really, really, really nice CG trailer. But
it was amazing.
That's all. Like, if that's the tone of the game, sure, that looks awesome. If that's the overall story of the game, that looks awesome. But other than that, we really know nothing about it.
Yeah, you gotta go watch a trailer if you haven't seen it. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the trailer for Star Wars Eclipse, it is some of the best CGI I've ever seen in anything. And you're like, Caleb, stop being, hyperbolic. Stop exaggerating. I'm not, dude. Go watch that trailer. It is some of the best CGI I've ever seen. And you say, it's a CGI trailer. And I'm like, that's fair. So there's no gameplay there. This game's not coming out for like 3 years. No need to get super excited. But I just appreciate the visual friggin' show I was given, Jaron. Because that game looks awesome. It's set during the High Republic, which I think is like, 200, 300 years before the mainline Star Wars movies take place.
Yeah,
and
something
so,
like that.
Not the Old Republic, but still kind of cool. I mean, the trailer just shows a lot of generic, shit. Yoda's in it. As a man playing the drums like you can't even believe. Believe it or not, there's an eclipse. The sun looks amazing, literally, because of the CGI. And, I guess we're excited for Star Wars. That game looks cool. It'll be a Quantic Dream style narrative-driven game. And it'll come out, by the time you die, maybe.
Yeah, looking through the recap of the stuff that was shown in the show, I realized that there was way more shown than I thought there was. It's just that it was 3.5 hours long, so it felt like there wasn't a lot of cool things because there was such like a time gap between cool things to cool things, where usually at E3 we get like cool thing, cool thing, cool thing,
Yeah.
cool thing, and it just like continues. This was like, we're gonna show you a cool thing. Now we're going to show you some random game that no one cares about. Now some guy's going to come on stage and jerk off, and then we're going to move on.
It was all in the first half. Like, the latter half of the show dragged on, and there was really nothing of consequence. It was all, like, in the first hour that they showed back-to-back all the big shit. Like, they even ended on Matrix. Matrix, what is it? What is it called? Matrix Awakens? Unreal Engine 5 demo? That's what they ended on, Jerry.
Yeah, well, I guess last year they ended on DLC,
Elden Ring, I think, right?
They ended on DLC for Hideo Kojima's game, didn't they?
I don't remember. I thought it might have been Elden Ring, but regardless, I think my point is that, it's just all of this stuff was in the first half, and then it dragged on for a long time. It wasn't the best showing for the Game Awards. There were too many ads this time around, like a lot of ads, which I imagine he'll get feedback for. But it started off. It didn't start off with Star Wars though. What did it start off with?
It started off with, we saw Suicide Squad pretty early.
I don't remember exactly what everything started off with. Maybe it did start off with Star Wars. I don't know. But yeah, why don't you tell me about Suicide Squad, the Killer
I think
Justice
it did start
League?
off with Star Wars because Star Wars came very close to him talking about Activision but not saying their name, and then we saw a game from Quantic Dream.
Jaron, I could have written my entire autobiography by the time that show ended. It was that long. I don't remember what they showed when. It could have been anything.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I think a good thing to tackle here is we talked about the awards that we largely cared about. We talked about the important ones, the fan one, Game of the Year, and just some ones in between and the controversies around them. But I want to hear what you liked from the show, Caleb.
What I liked generally from the Game Awards? I mean,
the games shown.
From the games shown. Oh, so the games that I was most excited about for sure were, I think there were 3 in total, but the 2 that I'm off the top of my head, obviously Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga. And they showed what was basically an Attack on Titan trailer. If any of you have seen the anime Attack on Titan, Senua leads this charge against this freaking giant thing, and then has to just completely retreat and run away as this thing's just barreling through everything. And apparently it was all in game. It wasn't even CGI, and it looked amazing. Did it not? Were you enthralled by the Hellblade 2 trailer like I was? Because it looked dope.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was fascinating. The only thing that threw me off was every once in a while they do these pan over her shoulder and look to the right camera shots where she was running, but she was running in such a weird way that it always pulled me out of it for a brief second, but that's something that'll be cleaned up before the game comes out.
Yeah, I don't even know if this is going to be entirely in the game like it is and all that, but it was, and they even had the 3D spatial audio if you were wearing headphones and watching the show. So you could hear the whispers like you can when you played the original Hellblade. And it was just really cool. I've been waiting for Hellblade forever. I'm super excited. I don't think they gave a release date though, did they? They kind of just showed it.
Yeah, they just showed it. No release date.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on that. I assume we'll see more at E3. It'll probably come out in 2023 if I had to guess, but who really knows about these things anymore? So there was that. And then another one I was super excited for, Jaren, Alan Wake 2. which is I'm really big fan of the first Alan Wake, which came out like 2010 or 9, right?
Yep.
On the 360. But this one is going to be a survival horror game. And the trailer says, makes it look like it's going to be very different from the original Alan Wake. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. Like, this write-up on IGN even says this new survival horror game is going to be, according to Remedy's Sam Lake, a, quote, pretty scary experience, end quote. The game is currently slated to be released in 2023. To me, that means 2024, because when do games come out on time ever? So I just give it everything else a year, because why wouldn't I? But I don't know, dude. Survival horror game, I'm not a huge horror fan. I'm a big Alan Wake fan, but I kind of like I get the critique that the first Alan Wake game was kind of both an action game and kind of both a horror game, and didn't do either really to the full extent, I guess. But I thought it hit a really unique tone and a really unique melding of gameplay with those elements that I was looking forward to in the sequel to some degree. But I don't know, man. I have to wait and see some gameplay. I gotta wait for a gameplay trailer to show more. But, Alan Wake's back, and we knew they're working on it, and I'm super excited.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about Alan Wake, because I'm also pretty excited for this game, having actually the first one I enjoyed, but I wasn't blown away by, then playing Control, and then knowing that Alan Wake is set in the same universe as Control, which also, by doing that makes me understand the survival horror aspect more, because if a person that's essentially has special abilities and like a gun that can help them do all this crazy stuff, if they're still having trouble fighting the things that are in this world, imagine what like a normal man has to deal with.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking, it's true. And do Control, the DLC, the final DLC for Control, or was it the first one, the Alan Wake one?
I think that was the final one.
It really got me into this. Like, I was super, I played Control this year, and all of the tie-ins, I read every document, and I played the DLC. I got every achievement, and I was really into it, man. I'm a big fan of what they kind of set up with Alan Wake in this universe, and I'm really excited for that one.
And I actually have some news for you on the Alan Wake front.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so in the trailer that we saw, you will see a street sign in both city portions. One of the signs includes, you only see the letters INIT, and then in another part, you see the letters ION. This supposedly refers to initiation, which the word initiation here is a reference to the middle part of Joseph Campbell's description of the monomyth, which is detailed in the hero's journey. The monomyth consists of 3 parts: departure, initiation, and return. In the original Alan Wake, departure was the name of the reality-bending manuscript that Alan wrote to empower himself to battle the supernatural dark presence. So return could be the next Alan Wake game, and people are theorizing that initiation is referring to this series actually being a trilogy.
Yo, dude, hell yeah, man. Did you read that on like Reddit or something? That was a deep fucking cut, Jaren. What gold mine did you find that in? You been in the mines, Jaren? You been in the mines of Reddit?
I found it on Reddit, and then I saw it covered on GameSpot afterwards.
Okay, you've been in the mines of Reddit, Jaren, with the working hat on and a pickaxe trying to dig for gold, man. That's some deep shit. That's super exciting. I mean, so I guess they're going to do this one, and then probably afterward, I imagine they would do a Control sequel, and maybe that sets up Alan Wake 3.
Or Alan Wake 3 is a mix of Control and Alan Wake, depending on how Alan Wake 2 goes.
That's true. So, and I imagine Alan Wake 2 will be great. And then that's just exciting, man. That's it. What they're doing over there. So they just make good games. Like, they're so cool.
Yeah,
like, no one's making anything like that.
Yeah, they definitely make interesting games that are also good. It's hard to make a game that is both interesting and unique and good. Lots of times you just get one, which is interesting and unique.
Yeah. So, I mean, Alan Wake 2, go watch the trailer if you haven't seen it. I'm excited for it. Jaren's excited for it. Friggin' second part of the monomyth. All right, get hype, everybody, for the monomyth. And then the next thing they showed that I was super excited for, Jaren, Sonic Frontier. No, I'm kidding, Jaren. Not Sonic Frontiers. So, A Plague Tale Requiem, which we already have seen a trailer for. We saw it at E3 this year, I believe, at Xbox's showcase. And then they just got another trailer for it. And what does it look like, Jaren? It looks like more Plague Tale, but with more money and better. And so that's all I need to know, honestly. Like, here at IGN, it says that it reintroduced us to heroes Amicia and Hugo, and teased a bit of the new adventure they'll be undertaking. So even they couldn't find anything substantive to write about it, because it just looks like more Plague Tale. You know, the rats are back, I guess. There's a lot of rats that they showed. The plague's back. You played the first Plague Tale recently, right? What'd you
Yep.
think of it? You
I thought it
excited?
was fantastic, as we talked about when you pointed out which games we thought you should check out for December, and we said Gears Tactics and A Plague Tale Innocence. Yeah, Plague
Worked
Tale
out.
Innocence is a great game.
Yeah. So it's a different kind of game too. It's like a stealth game, but it has Last of Us kind of vibes, but it's more indie, I guess, too. And it's very French because it's a French studio and it's set in Europe and it's a different time period. There's a lot about it, but it's just really interesting. If you haven't played it, it's hard to describe. It's just about you're a girl taking care of your little brother who has special powers in the middle of a plague, and rats are coming for you, and you're being hunted down. And that's it. That's the game. So, Plague Tale Requiem, it says it is going to be released in 2022. We'll see if it gets delayed or not, but it's coming to Game Pass, right?
Yeah, it is coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, so we're super excited for that as an Xbox, podcast. And I mean, they showed a bunch of other stuff at this Game Awards, but those were the main 3 things I'm excited about. I also wanted to point out quick that I thought it was funny, and we talked about it during the show, that, what was it? The trailer for Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, the gameplay trailer. It looks more like a Saints Row 4 game than the Saints Row 4 game looks like a Saints Row game.
Yeah, it
That
does.
was kind of fun. So, interesting.
Yeah, and then something, I was interested in the Suicide Squad game. I assume Caleb and I will have a good time playing that when it does come out.
Co-op.
And something I wanted to point out was, I think we missed this because it was in the pre-show, but Telltale's back, and they're making an Expanse game, and the Expanse is a critically acclaimed sci-fi TV show, and the game is being co-developed by Deck Nine, who made Life is Strange: True Colors.
So it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. No, I don't want to be mean. It's probably going to be a great game. But I saw this in their IGN's write-up, and I missed this. But unfortunately, I don't care. Because I love Telltale, and I love Telltale games, but I don't care until I see The Wolf Among Us 2, which may even be canceled. I don't know. Did they cancel it?
I don't think so. I think they said they're still working on it.
Yeah, like, whenever I see that, I'll give a fuck about The Expanse one day,
I'm interested in the Expanse. I always like when Telltale makes things, and if Telltale can keep Deck 9 on the rails and just crank out a good game without some like weird Life is Strange vibes, I'm on board.
Okay, and dude, I mean, I guess we can mention Life is Strange here a minute. Did you see did it win any games this year at the Game Awards? Because it didn't win Best Narrative. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was the winner of Best Narrative this year, beating out Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors, and Psychonauts 2. Does that say how good that Guardians of the Galaxy story is, or does that say how bad of a year it was for narrative games?
I don't know. I'm looking forward. It honestly made me way more excited to play Guardians of the Galaxy than I was before, because I knew it had a decent narrative, because that's what I had heard. But the fact that it beat out all those games made me go, now I really want to play this game.
Yeah, I don't know how it beat It Takes Two. I mean, I guess It Takes Two story's kind of basic, but I guess, I don't know, maybe it was a light year for narratives. That's kind of where it left me. I was like, I bet that Guardians of the Galaxy has a really good narrative, but it seems just like a light year for narrative games. And Life is Strange: True Colors, which is entirely based on the narrative and characters, didn't win. But I don't like really Life is Strange games, so I don't know that it got snubbed.
Yeah, I have no idea if it got snubbed or if it didn't get snubbed. It was more just, that's a exciting thing that it really made me notice that Guardians of the Galaxy had a great narrative. Yeah,
and it was just on sale for like $39 at Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was, but I guess it'll be on sale again. Probably for like Boxing Day or so. Was it Boxing Day? Is that the day after Christmas? When is Boxing Day, Jared?
Yeah, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas.
Nailed it, dude. First try. All right. Anything else we're gonna talk about here? What are your favorite announcements? Were they kind of mine, or did you have some others besides that Telltale game?
I was excited for the Suicide Squad game, which I mentioned briefly. I am excited to play that.
What about Sonic Frontiers?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Open world Sonic game, Jared. Really revolutionary.
Sonic should have stayed in a different world.
Jared.
That wasn't open. They shouldn't have let him out.
Sonic meets Zelda. Sonic meets Breath of the Wild. Come on.
Now they need to take the breath out of Sonic and put him back in the wild.
What about Forspoken, Jared? You into that game?
It's interesting, but I have no idea still what that game is like. Because we see like such a mix of gameplay and cutscenes all the time that I'm still not quite sure how that game functions or what it is. All I know is they're charging more on Steam for it.
Yeah, the release date is May 24th, 2022, so coming soon. But, yeah. And, I mean, even IGN just wrote, featuring an ambitious mix of magic and parkour. So, hell of a write-up for the game. Like, what the hell does that mean? Cuphead was cool, I guess. The Delicious Last Course DLC is finally coming out. And it's just the art style for that game. Like, I'm not even going to play it. I don't care. But it just looked amazing. That's all. I mean, those are a few other mentions I had. But anything else besides Sonic Frontiers that you're most excited about?
I'm always excited for Saints Row if it's actually made by Volition, just because I like Saints Row games, but I'm obviously hesitant about this one because it looks different. I'm excited about Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Oh, yeah,
I assume
forgot.
that game's going to be good. It's just that it's so soon and we've already seen it so much that it doesn't really need to be talked about.
Yeah, it's just Borderlands 3, but Tiny Tina's Wonderlands themed like Borderlands 2 was. So,
Yeah.
If you're excited for that.
And Andy
you
Samberg's
are,
in it.
and- yeah, there's no like mystery there. Like, you already know whether you're in or not. That's not forspoken.
Yeah, and Crossfire X, I'm excited to see just how that pans out because it is made by Remedy.
It looks like just a military shooter, but I don't know if that's for the good or the worse, like the better or worse.
See, the thing is, though, when they first showed off Control's trailers, it just kind of looked like a shooter, but that was a little weird. And then the game came out, and it was weird. And everyone kind of was like, this game's weird in a cool way. I just want to see what Remedy does with this story, because they're in charge of the single player, so it could be absolutely batshit insane.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, since it's a Remedy first, the single player, it's coming to Game Pass, right? So
Yep.
we'll have access to that. And then, I mean, there wasn't much else really going on here. Like, Dying Light 2 got another trailer. Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PC and is never coming to Xbox ever. So
the first
get fucked.
thing... The first thing about Dying Light 2, this was the first time that I actually was interested in the game. Like, I've seen it so many times, and every time they've just told me about what is happening in the game and like how the game functions, and I'm like, all this is cool, but I still don't know what this game's about. This one, they at least added some kind of humanity to the game and made it seem like you might actually be interested in what's going on.
It was a better trailer than they from my perspective than they'd shown so far. You and I were talking about it at the Game Awards. Like, it's not just you control the city. You make a decision, and these people say they didn't like that. And you're like, that's crazy. That's a crazy game. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Rockstar started that kind of trailer where it's like, welcome to Liberty City. You can do anything you want. Do you want to shoot someone on the street?
Yes.
Go for it. Do you see
Okay.
a hot dog stand and want to eat a hot dog?
Yes.
Do you want to pay your car insurance?
No.
Well, welcome to Liberty City.
Okay.
That they like started doing that, and then everyone else hopped on board. One thing we forgot to mention was Monolith is making a Wonder Woman game, and Monolith makes good games. It's just, I don't know if I care about a Wonder Woman game.
I was going to say they do, but I don't care about it. Same thing, Elden Ring. They showed a new Elden Ring trailer. That didn't make me any more excited for Elden Ring. I'm probably still not going to play it, And then, other than Wonder Woman and the Elden Ring game, I guess I should mention that they showed a Halo TV show spotlight thing. It didn't show much, and I don't know enough about it to know whether it's good. It looks like Halo. So far, so good, I guess, but it didn't, get me super excited.
The weird thing is, if they really crush it on this, it's going to make me, wonder why the games don't get the same kind of, narrative in-depth treatment. Because a big chunk of the story that revolves around Halo come from additional outside materials. And then, the game has story, and it, has a story that you could follow. And I think 2 is actually when they, redid all the cutscenes and all that kind of stuff. And I actually really like the story of 4 because it all takes place in the game, and it has an impactful story. But if they really nail this TV show, I'm just going to be like, yo, can we have what's happening in the TV show, in a game? Yeah,
make the books the movies or the TV show or something. Make all this, give more story.
Yeah, just put it in the game.
Yeah, I mean, after reflecting more on it, I've thought about it a lot recently because I was thinking of where I would put Halo Infinite in the campaign stuff. I think Halo 3 is the best Halo in terms of an overall package of content, but I think that Halo 2 might have the story, one up on the story. I think the narrative for Halo 2 is better. So
yeah,
I kind of agree with you there.
It feels better.
I don't even. Yeah, it feels better. It's just the perspective of switching between the Master Chief and the Arbiter. And the Arbiter, it's almost like more the Arbiter's game because it's about his arc and how he, goes from a religious zealot who was responsible for losing the first Halo game, and how by the end he turns into he sees that their religion is a lie, and that now the I don't know, it plays into the saying Healy Jaren splitting from the Covenant, and now he's allied with the humans. I don't know. That's another story, but Halo 2, good game. That's all I'll say.
It's what 343 tried to do with Halo 5 Guardians.
Yeah, and failed miserably. They're like, care about this character. You're like, no. They're like, but Nathan Fillion's here. I'm like, don't care.
And Warhammer Space Marine 2,
Oh
which
my
has
God.
been gone for a decade. That game's back.
Yo, but did you see the trailer for the Space Marine people? What was it again? Who were those people?
They're Space Marines.
Yeah,
so,
dude. Those people fucked some aliens, let me tell you, Jared.
So there's been like this cult like fandom like around Warhammer Space Marine 1 where like there's crazy CG crafted like stories that you can find on YouTube that are made by I think like one guy, and he makes them all and people love them and watch them all. So the reemergence of Warhammer Space Marine, if this game's delivered on well, and Focus Home Interactive has been making a lot of like way higher tier games recently. Like they kind of started that off with what's it called? Now I've forgotten. Amicia and Hugo.
Dude, for Plague Tale.
Yeah, Plague Tale.
Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah.
They made that, and then they've gone and made like other games like Greedfall.
How did
it's
you
like they're
remember Amicia before you remember to Plague Tale?
because for some reason I just blanked on the name.
No,
name of the
go
game.
ahead. Yeah. But they made these other games. I found that too funny.
They're building their way up to just being like an actual bigger AAA publisher. It seems.
Yeah. That game looked cool. I mean, the trailers did. I mean, we didn't really see any gameplay, but
Yeah.
I hadn't really known about that franchise, and it looked dope. And I guess the last few things I'll mention, Jared, Among Us Vince into VR. So
Cool, I guess.
get hyped for Among Us in VR. Looks like a horrifying experience. And then the biggest announcements. We had Dune Spice Wars. So get hype. Early access 2022.
This is the faff of the special.
Dune's coming, Jared. Get ready. Big game for this. The books came out before in the 60s, right? Or 50s, something like that. And it's all been leading up to this game. And then finally, Silent Hill creator announces new game Slitterhead. So if you haven't seen the Slitterhead trailer, boy, do I have a trailer for you. Go look up Slitterhead on YouTube and make sure to delete your history after that. And that's all I have.
And everything was brought to you by Google Play, which we heard constantly about. And every single time Google Play would pop up on the screen, Caleb would hear me say, oh, fuck Google Play.
He did every time, like 95 times. And also shout out to Lil Dicky in that Xbox ad.
Yeah, Xbox was out there. Every time a trailer was on screen that wasn't an Xbox game, they would give Game Pass codes in the chat.
Yeah, they were balling. So for those of you who don't know, this is just quick Xbox news. They rebranded Xbox Game Pass for PC into PC Game Pass. So, big move there. So fucking fix somebody's mistake and who made it initially.
Did you see the Twitter video of that?
No, but now they got Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass. What's the Twitter video?
All they show is it's a Twitter video, and on top it says the creation of PC Game Pass. And they open up where it used to say Xbox Game Pass for PC, and they just remove the Xbox and 4 part, and then they just move PC over and place it in front, and then bring the Xbox logo closer, and then they're like, ta-da.
There's some hardcore marketers over there at Xbox, and so they had this. They rebranded it, and like Jared said, they would do like PlayStation, like Kenna would be showing something, I don't know, or like some ads for some various other things going on. And if you check the chat, the Xbox or the PC Game Pass people would drop like 10 game codes, so that people could go redeem codes instead of look at it. And then Bethesda had a really funny ad where they just ran codes down the screen the whole time, like fucking 1,000 of them.
Yeah, Pete Hines was gardening.
Yeah, it was great. So shout out to a few of the ads. Xbox had some good ads for once. Not for once, but out of all the ones at the Game Awards, they actually had ones that I cared about.
Yeah, every time Xbox showed up, they were taking our eyes, but giving us things.
Yeah, like I got something to return for watching their ad.
Yeah.
That's it, Jaron. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'd say I'd give the overall show, I'd still give it a fire, like how we rated our E3 coverage, like fire or faff. There was a lot of stuff there. I'd say that the overall score would be fire, but if fire was like, you had to get above 50%, then this is like a 60.
I was going to say, it would be a really small, the fire, like, Jaron doesn't mean fire like 10 out of 10. He means like good or bad, like thumbs up, thumbs down. Jaron's like thumbs up. I would say too long. Like, it felt like the longest Game Awards ever, and it had too many ads this time around. Should have been a solid hour shorter. I don't know. Jeff read off a bunch of, he does this every year, but he just reads off a bunch of awards at like 9 at a time, and then gets back to the ads and the trailers, and I'm like, what the fuck, Jeff? And then I don't know. I would give it like the smallest fire you can imagine because it was it was too front heavy. Too many of the good stuff happened in the first hour. It dragged on for the last half, and it had too many ads and a bunch of other problems. But I still enjoyed it just because I'm kind of a sucker. Like, I guess I just like every year, every December, I just order a pizza and Jared and I watch the Game Awards. It's just a good time.
Yeah, it's like gaming's night where gaming gets to be the most popular thing on Twitter, which outside of E3.
I get how some people don't like it, and I mean, some people just they get way too into it. But for me, I just don't get way too into it. And I'm just there to kind of like eat pizza and have a good time. And some people are like, oh, that was cringe. And I'm like, I don't care. It's kind of funny. Jared and I make fun of him. Like, if this person did something cringe, Jared and I would be like, just make fun of him for 4 minutes. And then we'll be like, what trailer's playing? Jared will be like, I don't know. Who cares? And I'll be like, I don't care either. And then I just take another bite of pizza. Have a good time.
Yeah, at least this year, they got the Game of the Year right.
They did get the game. I was so happy for Joseph. I screamed, let's go, like 9 times when he won. I was so excited for that man. Shout out to Joseph. He deserved it. Game of the Year was the right choice this year. I imagine next year's will be much crazier. And there actually was a lot of cool, good stuff announced, particularly relating to what I liked. It was just all in the first hour.
Yep, I can concur with that. I'm glad they got the Game of the Year right. They should have got the Game of the Year right last year and given it to Maneater, but you can't be perfect 100% of the time.
No, that's true. Not every year, no.
And yeah, that's the end of the show, Caleb.
Well, I mean, shout out to best esports team, Natus Vincier. That's it.
If you would like to listen to this podcast outside of where you're listening to it right now, you can head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anything Anchor supports, or you can head over to YouTube and look it up, The X Block Podcast. Feel free to come hang out with us there, leave a comment. If you'd like to follow the podcast outside of where you listen to it, you can head over to Twitter at XBlock Podcast. You can head over to Instagram at XBlock Podcast. And we also have a Twitch, which we did stream on once, like we said we were gonna, but then the video didn't get archived because we didn't have those settings turned on. So I'm gonna go back and stream again at some point when I'm not working myself to the bone.
Dude, stay tuned to _XBlock on Twitch, dude, to go follow, turn notifications on. One day you're gonna wake up and Jaren's gonna be streaming again. You missed it the first time, but if you don't want to miss it again, dude, go over there and follow us at _XBlock on Twitch. And then if you want to go and check us out on Patreon, throw us a couple dollars. If you said, Jaren, Caleb, I've been watching the Game Awards forever, since the beginning of time, when the dinosaurs were around. And this is the greatest Game Awards coverage I've ever heard from anybody, ever. And your opinions were better than mine. And I want to give you money. Then go to friggin' what is our Patreon, Jaren? Patreon.com/XBlockPodcast. Nailed it first try. And that's where you can give us, a couple bucks for being like, that was a great one, boys. GG. And then we'll say GG maybe. And then that'll be it. Patreon.com/XBlockPodcast.
Yep. And like the Game Awards should have said, fuck Bobby Kotick. XBlock out.
Thanks for listening to the X Block. New episodes every Monday at 5 a.m.